Good evening, dear viewers. Welcome to WOW 24 Nightly News with me, Mariam Zian. To the headlines. After 20 days of campaigning, the three-day electoral silence preceding Saturday's voting has started. The Independent National Electoral Authority emphasizes the strict compliance with the silence regulations, and voting begins in mobile polling stations across 16 provinces southern Algeria. Also coming up, Algerians abroad cast their ballot for the presidential elections on the third consecutive day across 5 continents, with polling stations open until September 7. Next, 42 Palestinians were killed in 24 hours by the Zionist occupation forces, and bombardment in central and northern Gaza City claims more lives. Algeria condemns the ongoing Zionist aggression and genocide against Palestinians and urges action at the UN Security Council. News about the Algerian snap presidential elections right after a short break. The electoral silence period started on Wednesday in Algeria ahead of next Saturday's presidential election, following 3 weeks of campaigning by the 3 presidential candidates. The electoral silence will last for 3 days until voting begins next Saturday. Final logistical preparations and arrangements for polling centers and stations have begun under the supervision of the Independent National Electoral Authority. The 3 candidates wrapped up their campaigns after 20 days of advertising, public rallies, and popular gatherings, during which they endeavored to win voters' trust by explaining their different programs and visions. The Independent National Electoral Authority in Algeria emphasized the strict compliance with the electoral silence period following the conclusion of the election campaign. In the statement, the Electoral Authority reiterated the provisions of Article 74 of the election law, which prohibits campaigning outside the designated period from August 15 to September 3, 2024. The authority also recalled that publishing and broadcasting opinion polls or voter intentions is prohibited within 72 hours before the voting day on national soil and 5 days before for voters living abroad. And on Wednesday, the voting process for the Algerian presidential election scheduled for September 7 began through mobile polling stations for nomadic populations in the country's southern provinces. This voting process involves 116,064 registered voters across 134 polling stations in 51 municipalities distributed over 16 provinces. The provincial delegations of ANI have confirmed that all logistical and human resources are ready for smooth early voting operations. Supervisory teams have been mobilized for mobile polling stations, and election observers and candidates' representatives are supervising the voting process. The voting process began on Wednesday in the municipality of Burma in Wergla province, southern Algeria, through mobile polling stations. The election process will take place across 6 mobile polling stations located in the border district of Burma, with an electorate of 8,147 registered voters in the area. The voting process will be supervised by 30 officials assigned by the provincial delegation of ANI for this event. Okay.
Today, Wednesday, there was elections in Algeria. and we fulfilled our duty. May God bless the President. Greetings to Algeria. May God elevate it and be its support and victory.
The province of Naama in southwestern Algeria is preparing to launch the election process for voters registered at mobile polling stations as of Thursday. The provincial delegate of Ani in Naama, Miftah Al-Eid, stated that the authority has mobilized all necessary resources to ensure the smooth running of the election process starting Thursday across the 9 mobile polling stations in the province, which cover an electorate of 6,833 registered voters. The overall electorate in the province exceeds 176,000 voters.
The
Naama province has registered over 176,000 voters distributed across 170 polling centers, encompassing 420 voting stations, including 9 mobile units. Preparations are complete, and everything is ready for the start of the process. The mobile units will begin their operations 40 hours before the election day, covering 4 municipalities. The election process is expected to proceed smoothly, with the Independent National Election Authority providing extensive resources, both human and material. More than 3,300 personnel have been deployed to manage the process, allocated according to the distribution of voters.
In southern Algeria, the province of Ouargla completed its preparations for the start of the snap presidential election voting on Thursday in the Talab Laribi border district with 21 mobile polling stations allocated. The provincial delegation of Ani has mobilized all logistical and organizational resources to enable 11,000 voters to cast their ballots at the mobile stations. And meanwhile, the province of Mghazir in southern Algeria continues its efforts to ensure optimal organization of the electoral process. The provincial delegation of Ani is finalizing preparations for the election, particularly in equipping polling stations and providing necessary logistical equipment to ensure voters can exercise their electoral rights effectively.
بدينا تحضيرات منذ
Preparations began with the summoning of the electoral body by the President of the Republic on June 8, 2024. Since then, we have been reviewing the exceptional electoral lists from June 12th to June 27th. The review period proceeded smoothly as we provided all the necessary resources, and today we are observing the electoral silence phase.
مرحلة الصمت الانتخابي.
And as you previously followed in our top stories, Algerians living abroad continue for the 3rd consecutive day to cast their votes in the early presidential elections at polling stations distributed across all 5 continents. This process will continue until next Saturday. The Independent National Electoral Authority in Algeria has designated 117 diplomatic and consular offices as polling centers for Algerians abroad. It stated that the polling stations will be open from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. local time, and the voting period for the Algerian diaspora is from September 2nd to September 7. On the 3rd day of casting their votes in the Algerian presidential elections, Algerians abroad are creating celebratory scenes that reflect their deep connection to their homeland. This was observed by Al24 News in the border region of El Kaf, Tunisia.
The atmosphere is positive, with a strong response from the community to the improvement calls we made in the past days. Thankfully, we see understanding, acceptance, and participation, and we believe that in the coming days, this will increase even more. We expect a good outcome that reflects the level of community, the nation, and the significance of the event.
On Wednesday, the voting process for the Algerian diaspora in Egypt continued at two polling stations in Alexandria and Cairo. The presidential election received widespread media attention from Egyptian outlets, which highlighted the significance of this major political event and the positive engagement of the Algerian community with it.
I am one of those who believe that anyone who desires change or continuity should do so through the ballot box, expressing their opinion with complete transparency and democracy. Yesterday, we observed a significant turnout from the Algerian community residing in Cairo, reflecting a growing awareness among a broad segment of the Algerian people about the importance of voting in elections. Today, we are witnessing a similar strong turnout.
Algeria has made an important stride in its democratic journey in recent times. It was essential to strengthen this path and build trust, which is achieved through positive participation as guaranteed by the Constitution. I am proud and pleased with this occasion and the level of participation, especially with the involvement of our sisters from the Algerian community. We also extend our gratitude to the workers at the Algerian embassy here, who are dedicated to organizing the process under the best conditions. Their efforts and contributions are greatly appreciated.
This is my first time voting, and it is a new experience for me. I hope that all Algerians will participate in these elections.
In Doha, the Qatari capital, the voting process for the Algerian presidential elections continued for the third consecutive day at the Algerian embassy. The voting is also taking place at a polling station in the city of Al Khour to facilitate the process and provide the best possible conditions for the Algerian community.
Today, we came to fulfill our electoral duty in the friendly state of Qatar at the embassy. The reception from everyone was very good.
As an Algerian citizen living here in Doha for 15 years, I always fulfill my electoral duty. It is a
Today, we came to fulfill our electoral duty in the friendly state of Qatar at the embassy. The reception from everyone was very good.
As an Algerian citizen living here in Doha for 15 years, I always fulfill my electoral duty. It is a duty, a responsibility for every Algerian citizen to cast their vote in the elections.
We are happy and pleased. We came here to fulfill electoral duty in the presidential elections. We encourage all Algerian expatriates to participate in these elections to ensure strong participation. We wish the best for our country. Although we live in Doha, our hearts remain attached to Algeria.
الجزائر ما دام احنا عايشين في الضحى ولكن أقل في الجزائر.
جيت اليوم نعبر عن صوتي نأدي واجبي طبعا.
I came today to cast my vote and fulfill my duty by choosing the president who represents me. The process was conducted under the best conditions, and I extend my sincere thanks to the Algerian embassy in Doha.
وتمت العملية في أحسن الظروف مع الشكر الجزيل لسفارة الجزائر في الدوحة.
تتواصل العملية الانتخابية ليومها الثالث الذي شهدنا فيه اليوم افتتاح.
Today marks the third day of the electoral process, during which we witnessed the opening of the youth center in El Dukhaira. Our office is located at the center in the Al Khour area and is ready to welcome warmly our community. We have ensured that all human and material resources are provided by the National Election Authority. We are also seeing an increase in participation from our community living here in Doha and other areas. We will be here until the end of the week, and we encourage all the Algerian community to play an active role in these elections.
Meanwhile, the Algerian community in South Africa continued voting for the September 7 presidential election on Wednesday at the polling station located at the Algerian embassy in Pretoria.
We have fulfilled our electoral duty. I hope that the entire Algerian community here in South Africa will come out to vote. It is very important. We only have one country, so we must exercise our civic rights.
The voting process for the Algerian presidential elections is also ongoing in France, where members of the Algerian community in Marseille have been heading to the polling stations amid well-organized conditions. The Algerian community in Marseille is looking forward to a better future, greater attention to their needs, and their integration into economic and social process. They express their readiness to contribute to the country's development efforts.
I came to vote for the one who will make the country triumph against those who wish us harm. Long life Algeria, and long life the one who will govern the country.
We must vote. We love our country. We want our young people to work, and we want the country to be the best, to be organized, and to have a government that meets expectations. May our country do well.
The electoral process continues in the city of Lille, France, where there has been a significant turnout of the Algerian diaspora at the polling stations. Members of the Algerian community sent a unified message to voters inside and outside the country.
As an Algerian citizen, it is our right. We must turn to our country in terms of the Republic. Therefore, this is something that every Algerian must do.
Bon, voter déjà c'est quelque chose d'important, surtout quand on est algérien.
Voting is important, especially for me as an Algerian citizen. We know very well what the presidential elections mean in every country in the world. It's a significant event, and today we fulfilled our duty. I urge everyone to cast their votes both inside and outside the country.
Où l'Algérien habite, en fait, voilà.
In Spain, specifically in the province of Lleida in Catalonia, the Algerian presidential election process continued for the third day. Algerians in the Spanish province flocked to the polling station, especially the third station, which recorded the highest voter turnout among the 7 polling stations of the Algerian consulate in Barcelona.
We are at polling station number 3 in Lleida, which is part of Barcelona constituency. The station has been open since Monday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and will continue to be open until Saturday. Algeria has provided us with all the necessary resources, and there is a strong turnout of voters. We hope this will be the case at all polling stations. We wish the best for our country. May God bless Algeria. Peace to our martyrs.
We came to vote for the new president. May God protect our country. Everyone came to vote, and everything went smoothly. There were no problems. We wish success to the next president elected by the people and prosperity for the country. May God protect the country from all enemies, both internal and external.
The voting process for the September 7 presidential election at the Alicante polling center has seen an increase in turnout of Algerian women. Algerian women in the city insisted on participating in this important election and fulfilling their civic duty. In Belgium, Algerians are voting for the third consecutive day at the Brussels polling station. The process, supervised by Annie, allows the Algerian community in Belgium to demonstrate their love to their homeland.
Alors pourquoi je suis venue voter? Pour moi, c'est un devoir citoyen.
I am here today to vote and consider voting as a national duty, even if I'm outside Algeria. Voting is very important, so we can choose the person who is suitable to lead the country.
Le meilleur pour notre pays.
On the third day of the Algerian diaspora's voting process at the Algerian consulate in Charleroi, Belgium, for September 7 presidential election, there was a notable turnout. Algerians residing in Charleroi and southern Belgium near the French border saw this election as an opportunity to express their sense of belonging and love for their homeland.
I came today to fulfill my duty as an Algerian citizen, and so done. I hope Algeria continues to move from better to better, because many are waiting. I'm also happy because I got my card today. Honestly, I feel psychologically that I'm a real Algerian citizen.
I hope for the best for our country. Life goes on and the country keeps developing. I've been living in Europe for many years, but I hope to return to our homeland. I voted today so our country can enjoy goodness and safety always.
We wish the best president for our country, Algeria. It is an honor for us today to vote, and we wish prosperity to spread across our land.
And in Moscow, the Algerian community abroad continued voting for the second consecutive day as well. Wednesday's voting saw a significant turnout, particularly from students who fulfilled their electoral duty. The elections are being conducted smoothly and efficiently in coordination between the embassy services in Diani for elections, which has taken all necessary measures to facilitate voters' exercise of their constitutional rights.
نلاحظ أن العملية الانتخابية جد شهدت توافد.
We have noticed today that the electoral process has seen a significant turnout. As the majority of voters were students, this shows that they support their country and they want to give it a new image. They consider this their future. So the embassy is open, they come when they have free time to vote, and the embassy is open, the offices are open, everything is going well, as you can see.
بسلاسة مرونة بسهولة يعني الله يبارك.
As you can see today, we came to fulfill our duty, which is voting for our country.
The Algerian community residing in Turkey continue to cast their votes on the snap presidential elections at the polling station in the 5th district of Istanbul. On the third consecutive day of voting, there has been a good turnout, particularly from Algerian families living in Istanbul.
We came to the Algerian consulate here in Istanbul to fulfill our electoral duty. This election is very important in light of the challenges Algeria faces. I salute the Algerian people and remind them that voting is the duty of each and every one of us for the good of Algeria.
Thank God we have fulfilled our electoral duty. This is the first time I have voted, and my vote is aimed at seeing Algeria always prosperous and developed. Even though we live in Turkey, we wish the very best for our country and hope it remains the best.
الحمد لله اليوم جينا وأدينا الواجب الوطني تاعنا.
Thank God we came to fulfill our duty and we wish the best for our country. We hope to see our country always prosperous.
نتمنى بلادنا تكون أحسن.
And now regarding the election process in the US, we're joined live from New Jersey with our special envoy, Karim Fess. Welcome, Karim. So what is the latest you have observed about the voting process in New Jersey?
Yes, Miriam, I hear you. Of course, the voting process here at the New York General Consulate of Algeria actually is still witnessing an interesting, let's say, turnout. The 15 stations indeed are still continue the Algerian community for the presidential elections, which is a decisive moment that has been that has seen a wide participation here across these polling stations, or across 15 polling stations. And today, this is the third day, and the voters continue to cast their ballot. And behind me is the General Consulate in Manhattan, where Algerian voters came and cast their ballot to choose a president to lead the future of Algeria. Of course, to talk about figures and numbers, joining me is Dr. Al-Hadi Sharshar, who is the deputy of the Independent Elections Authority in Algeria. Dr. Al-Hadi Sharshar, it's been 3 days already on court. What updates can you share with us? Are there any new notable figures and developments?
Today we conclude the process of proxy voting in the presidential elections, and I am pleased to share this achievement with you. Although the participation today was modest, the effort that we made to mass SMS texting have been fruitful. We witnessed response from voters who voted by proxy on behalf of their relatives and friends. Increased to presidential elections. I would like to thank everyone who participated and contributed to the success of this day, and I call and urge on our Algerian citizens to come in full force. We have still a few days left, and especially the weekend, Saturday, which is the last day, September 7th. I'm calling all of them to please come and vote and exercise their civil rights and duties.
Thank you so much, Dr. Al-Hadi Shashar. And of course, Mariam, we're going to be joined as well by another spokesperson here. And this is Mr. Riyad Ouzarala, who's going to tell us about the general atmosphere here at the consulate. He is actually here overseeing the process of the elections at the New York Consulate General in Manhattan. Mr. Ouzarala, journey, please, and could you please tell us, how was the third day here at the General Consulate in Manhattan?
Well, it was perfectly good and was going very smoothly. As an election observer, I would like to confirm that the election went very smoothly with decent turnout. The electoral process was conducted with full transparency and ease, reflecting the commitment of the party, all the party. So to these rules and standards required to ensure the integrity of the election. So what I can say on the side also is Algerian citizens have to understand that the first thing have to come from Algerian citizen, from us as an Algerian. They have to understand that I have to participate to this election for the good future of our country.
Thank you so much, Mr. Riyad. So as you have followed with me, Mariam, and dear audiences, the voting process is still underway across all the 15 voting or polling stations here in Manhattan or in Philadelphia or in New Jersey. And despite coinciding with the school year, the voter turnout has been remarkable, as the officials have been stressing over and over again in comparison with other years of elections. Of course, this operation has been smooth thanks to the meticulous arrangements of the Algerian authorities, either here in the US or actually overseas or across the other bank of the Atlantic. So technically, the participation rate is expected actually to increase in the days ahead, and the Algerians here among themselves have been urging each other to come and vote in force. Well, that's it for me, Mariam. Thank you, dear audiences, for following, and Mariam, back to you in studio.
Thank you very much, Karim, for the updates. And thanks to your guests. Thank you very much. And now from China, we are joined by our special envoy, Zahra Ferjani, to track the vote. So, Zahra, what's the voting atmosphere like in Beijing, where you are right now? And what are the expectations for the first day of voting in there? Do you hear me, Zahra?
So we are here in Beijing, the Chinese capital, exactly at the Algerian embassy, which is about to open its doors in few minutes for the Algerian community residing here in China in order to cast their ballots for the 2024 presidential elections, which are about to start today, which the period will last from today, the September 5th, until the 7th of this month. So for the past week, the officials at the Algerian embassy have been diligently preparing and providing the office with the necessary materials and equipment in order to facilitate the voting process for Algerians here. So the number of the registered Algerian voters on the electoral list in Beijing is exactly 383 Algerians spread across 9.6 million square kilometers of Chinese territory. So the Algerian embassy has ensured that all the members of the community have the necessary information to participate in the election through websites and social media. So even those who live far away from Beijing, the embassy has provided them with a voting power of attorney for over a month now, allowing them to expedite their voting process without having to travel long distances to reach the embassy here in Beijing. All this is in order to limit inconveniences. So it is exactly 7 a.m. here, and we are in few minutes we are about to open the embassy which is going to hand over the polling station and the electoral process to the members of the appointed by the independent National Election Authority and to vote, and the voting will start officially. So the Algerian ambassador in Beijing is also here to welcome the Algerian community and to cast his ballots alongside them. So throughout the day we will keep you informed about the process of the first day of elections, of Algerian presidential elections here in Beijing.
Thank you very much, Zahra, for the updates and the insights. See you for more news. Thank you very much. And as for you, dear viewers, and for more updates about regional and international news, stay tuned after the break. Algerian Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf met with several African heads of state during a dinner hosted by Chinese President Xi Jinping for the leaders attending the fourth Africa-China summit. According to a statement from the Algerian Foreign Ministry, Attaf met with the Mauritanian President Mohamed Sheikh Al-Ghazawani. The meeting provided an opportunity to review and commend the dynamic cooperation between the two countries in line with the directives of the leaders of both nations and their ongoing commitment to advance in Algerian-Mauritanian relations to the highest possible levels. And on Tuesday, Algeria launched the construction of the world's largest integrated farm in the south in partnership with Qatar with a $3.5 billion investment. The first phase includes drilling exploratory wells to assess groundwater and develop conservation methods. Expected to start production in 2026, the project will meet 50% of Algeria's dried milk needs, create 5,000 jobs, and manage over 270,000 cattle. It will also support grain and fodder production through an agricultural rotation system.
It is important to highlight that this massive project, valued at over $3.5 billion, will enable the production of 50% of the national demand of powder milk, supply the local market with fresh meat, and create 5,000 direct jobs. Additionally, it will contribute to the production of grains and fodder as part of its implementation and high-level commitment across the three regions involved in the project.
الثلاث المكونة للمشروع. لا بد من التذكير بأن هذا المشروع الضخم.
It is important to remember that this major project, worth over $3.5 billion, will meet 50% of the national demand for dried milk, supply the local market with red meat, and create 5,000 direct jobs. Additionally, it will contribute to the production of grains and fodder as part of the agricultural rotation system implemented across the 3 phases involved in this project.
We affirm that Algerian-Qatari relations today are experiencing significant momentum and dynamic. High-quality progress too. This is reflected through a series of mutual visits and growing, fruitful cooperation, which was established by His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, the Emir of Qatar, and his brother, His Excellency President Abdelmajid Tebboune, the President of the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria. May God protect them. This is a forward-looking, wise and promising vision that draws strength from the strong and close brotherly relations between the leaders of the 2 friendly countries.
News and updates on occupied Palestinian territories after a short break. According to a statement from the Palestinian Ministry of Health, 42 Palestinians were martyred in 3 massacres committed by the Zionist occupation forces in the Gaza Strip over the last 24 hours. In his daily statistical report on the number of martyrs and injured due to the ongoing aggression on Gaza, which has continued for 334 days, the ministry stated that the occupation forces committed 3 massacres against Palestinian families in the Strip. The report indicated that 42 people were martyred and 107 were injured in the past 24 hours. It also noted that some of the victims are still under the rubble in the streets, and rescue and civil defense teams are unable to reach them. On Wednesday, Palestinians were martyred and injured, including children, and also injured due to Zionist bombardment in the central and northern parts of the Gaza city. According to Palestinian media sources, 9 Palestinians, including children, were martyred and others were injured when Zionist occupation forces bombed an apartment near the municipal park in the center of Gaza city. Additionally, 6 more Palestinians were martyred in a Zionist airstrike targeting gathering of Palestinian civilians near Sheikh Zayed Towers in northern Gaza Strip. The Islamic resistance movement Hamas criticized today's UN Security Council meeting, which was requested by Israel, or Tuesday's meeting, supported by the US, Britain and France to discuss Israeli prisoners held by resistance groups. Hamas expressed disapproval, stating that this meeting is occurring while the ongoing violence and atrocities against Palestinians in Gaza, the West Bank and Israeli prisons continue. They accused the Security Council of being ineffective due to American and Western influence, which prevents it from addressing the occupation's crimes and violations.
The attempt by the occupation to impose its false narrative regarding the deaths of the 6 persons held by the resistance is a blatant continuation of a series of lies that no longer deceive anyone. We in Hamas demand that the Security Council take immediate action to stop the genocide against our Palestinian people in Gaza and enforce its Resolution 2735 concerning the war on Gaza, obliging the Israeli occupation to comply with it. We also call for an end to the Zionist aggression against our people in the occupied West Bank and the cessation of the ongoing Nazi-like military operations there. We reaffirm our welcome to any agreement that guarantees a serious and genuine deal, halts the aggression, ensures the complete withdrawal of the occupation from Gaza, and addresses the return of displaced persons, relief, and reconstruction.
On Tuesday, the White House announced it is moving to the finalization stage of the ceasefire agreement in Gaza, following the Israeli government's refusal to accept the American proposal put forward by President Joe Biden and approved by the UN Security Council. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre confirmed that it is now time to finalize the agreement document to end the war in the Gaza Strip.
our focus, ceasefire deal, working continuously with our co-mediators, Qatar and Egypt, on next steps on getting to that hostage deal.
The death toll in Jenin city and its camp is on its eighth day of the occupation's aggression in the occupied West Bank has reached 19 martyrs, with dozens of injured and detained. According to the latest report from the Palestinian news agency on Wednesday, the occupation's forces continue their assault on Jenin city and its camp, resulting in the martyrdom of 19 Palestinians, with many injured and detained. Additionally, there has been extensive damage to civilian property, public and private facilities and infrastructure, including water and electricity networks.
We have bread, water, and also infant milk. The situation is severe, with a critical shortage of essentials impacting the lives of people and children in the camp. We are striving to support them and help them stay resilient despite the ongoing crisis. Unfortunately, the situation remains catastrophic, despite our efforts to provide aid, including setting up water supplies. The resources are still inadequate, and the water situation is dire. Our efforts have not yet fully resolved the shortage.
Algeria has once again warned against the continuing Zionist aggression and genocidal war against the defenseless Palestinian people, notably in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. Speaking at a UN Security Council meeting held today in New York, the permanent representative of Algeria at the UN, Hamad bin Jamah, pointed out that the Zionist occupation persists to turn a deaf ear to international calls and escalates its aggression against innocent Palestinians.
Mr. President, the Israeli occupation continue inflicting collective punishment upon the Palestinians in Gaza and West Bank. The staggering toll of death and destruction reveals a barbarism aimed at erasing the Palestinian identity, and with it, the vision of the Palestinian state. As the world struggles to secure a ceasefire in Gaza, despite the clear demand from the international community, including this very council, the Israeli occupier escalate since last week its operations in the West Bank, continuing to slaughter Palestinians in a blatant violation of international law.
In the same context, Mr. bin Jamah underlined that as stated by the President of the Republic, Mr. Al-Majid Tebboune, they are responsible for the heinous crimes perpetrated against the Palestinian people must be brought before justice.
Those responsible for all these crimes cannot remain unpunished. As President Tebboune stated, those involved in the massacre and extermination of Palestinians must be brought to justice.
And in other developments on Wednesday, the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs warned Western countries and Ukraine and Moscow would respond immediately if Ukraine launched long-range attacks on Russian territory. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova stated that the Russian response would be extremely severe. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov added that the U.S. escalation of the war in Ukraine and Western actions have forced Russia to review its nuclear doctrine. And finally, in sports, the national team held its final training session during its preparatory camp for the match against Equatorial Guinea, scheduled for Thursday evening at Milut Hetfi Stadium as part of the first round of the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. The session conducted on the main pitch of Milut Hedfi Stadium focused on technical and tactical work. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for tonight's program. Thanks for watching. If you missed any part, you can always check our social media platforms. Thank you again, and bye-bye.